So, you're learning Chinese, and there's this one question, this big question, that I bet you've asked yourself. You've probably typed into a search bar a dozen times, but the answers you get, well, they're kind of all over the place, and honestly, they can be pretty misleading.
Right? This is it. This is the question. We all want a number, a finish line we can run towards. It just makes sense. You want a clear goal for this huge journey you're on. But like I said, the problem is the answers you get are not so clear.
And this is exactly where it gets so confusing. You'll see one website telling you, hey, just learn 500 characters and you'll get like 75% of everything. But then you click on another link and it says, no, to actually be literate, you're gonna need thousands. We're talking 2,000, 2,500, maybe even 3,000. So what's the real story? Let's actually break this down.
Okay, to really get to the bottom of this, let's reframe it. Instead of searching for one single magic number, let's think about it like a journey. A road trip with different milestones along the way, and each stop has its own challenges and its own rewards.
So your journey kicks off with those first 100 characters, and man, it is a grind. It's slow, it feels like you're memorizing random squiggles and not really getting anywhere. Then you hit 500, and a lot of places make a big deal about this number, but let's be real, it's just a pretty number. You can't really read that much more, maybe a super simple kid's book. But if you keep pushing, that's when something really cool starts to happen. There's a point where it all just starts to click. You know, the mountain you've been climbing suddenly feels less steep. And believe it or not, that turning point, it has a number. This right here, this is what we're talking about. It's somewhere in the ballpark of 700 to 800, but 750 is an awesome target to shoot for. And this isn't just another number on the board. This is where the game fundamentally changes. So what's the big deal with 750? Why is this the number? Well, it's because this is where your brain starts to see the matrix. You start recognizing the patterns, the building blocks that make up the characters, and all of a sudden new characters aren't just random symbols anymore. Your learning actually starts to speed up. Seriously, if you can just get to this point, you've gotten through the absolute hardest part.
Okay, so you did it. You pushed past 750, you're rocketing towards 2,000, maybe even 2,500 characters. Now you're in the big leagues. You can pick up a newspaper, you can browse Chinese websites, and pretty much get what's going on. You've made it. You're fluent, right?
Well, here's the thing. Not exactly. And this is where we need to hit the brakes. Because it turns out we might have been chasing the wrong goal this whole time. We've been asking the completely wrong question.
Yeah, there's a huge but that comes with all of this character counting. It's a massive problem, actually, and it points to a really common misunderstanding about how the Chinese language actually works in the real world.
And here it is, the question that changes everything. It seems so simple, but it's so important. Are characters the same as words? The short answer? A big fat resounding no.
And this example makes it so clear. Look on the left. You see the character da, pronounced da, and it means big. Easy enough. But then look at the right. We combine it with another character and we get the word dai fu, pronounced dai fu, which means doctor. It has absolutely nothing to do with being big. See? If you only know the characters, you don't actually know the word. So we've got to flip the script. The question we should be asking isn't about some abstract character count. It's about what we can actually do. It's about how many words we need to know to actually communicate with people. So let's talk about what really matters. We need to shift our focus. This isn't about collecting characters like they're trading cards. It's about building a vocabulary of actual words that you can use.
Think about how this actually plays out when you're learning. Right at the beginning, it's pretty much one-to-one. You learn a character, you learn a word. But then, the magic happens. You start learning words that are combinations of characters you already know. So, for every new character you learn, you might unlock 5, 10, 20 new words. Your word count just explodes. It's an amazing feeling. Eventually, yeah, it plateaus a bit when you're down to the really rare characters, but that initial acceleration is a game changer.
So, what's our new target? Well, here's the really cool part. Once you start talking about words, the goals for Chinese look pretty much the same as they do for any other language. For basic, day-to-day conversation, you're aiming for a few thousand words. To be considered truly fluent, you're looking at around 10,000. Now those are goals we can work with.
Okay, so here's your new game plan, your new mission. First, push hard to get to that 750 character mark. That's your ticket out of the hardest part of the learning curve. But the moment you get there, I want you to shift your entire mindset. Stop counting characters. Start counting words. Focus on building a vocabulary that lets you actually talk to people, read things you enjoy, and use the language for real.
All of this is based on the real-world experiences of tons of learners who've come before. But it does leave you with a really fascinating thought, doesn't it? I wonder, could we use data, big data, to find a truly definitive answer? Could we analyze millions of books and articles and websites to map out the most efficient path to fluency, once and for all? Something to think about for sure.